Shalom. This is to all Israelite groups and all Israelite communities and all breakoffs from One West and breakoffs from breakoffs from breakoffs from breakoffs. No matter what rainbow uniform you wear, red, white, purple and white, all white, it don't matter. You should all treat the ISUPK like your weird, misunderstood Sabbaths. You shouldn't do anything until you counsel with the ISUPK. We'll tell you when and what to eat. We'll tell you who to marry. We'll tell you who to have sex with and how. We'll tell you how to resolve conflicts with your wives. We'll tell you how to resolve conflicts with your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your parents, your friends, everybody. We'll tell you when and how to pray. We'll tell you how to direct your life in a way that's pleasing to the Most High God of Israel and our Black King Yahushua, a.k.a. Jesus Christ. We will be to you instead of a God. Just like the Most High told Moses in Exodus 4:16 that Aaron would be to him instead of a mouth and he would be to Aaron instead of a God, that's what we'll do for you. It is what you all need because none of you know what the fuck you are doing. I pray you understand. Shalom.
All right, Shalom, Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Barakatham to all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shemar Latham, Shem Yahushua to all the sisters. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, where we've been teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible. Something that your Christian pastors have been ill-equipped to do for quite some time now. You know what I mean? It's amazing that there's anybody in the Christian church or the Catholic church or the Muslim mosque, you know what I mean, or any fake Israelite group. You know what I mean, because as General Mayak said, you know what I mean, none of them know what the hell they're doing. And it's been proven, it's been shown, and it's been obvious for quite some time. I mean, you look into all of those groups, you look into all of the Christian churches, the Catholic churches, you look into your families who was raised by the Christian church, I mean, or the Catholic church. Look. Salakia. But the evidence that the Christian church and the Catholic churches don't work, the evidence that the Muslim mosques and Hindu Buddhism, spirituality, you just being spiritual. Just to explain what I mean by that, the evidence that those things don't work, you just look at your family. You know what I mean? You look at your Thanksgiving table. Look at your Christmas preparations. Look at your relationship with your family and your mother and your father and your uncles and your cousins, and that should let you know that the Christian church ain't working. The Christian doctrine ain't working. The Catholic church and their doctrine ain't working. Being a Muslim ain't working. Being spiritual, being what's the word? Kemet. You know what I mean? Being a Buddhist, all of those different things, Egyptology, being all of those, being a Democrat, being a Republican, being left wing, right wing, being all of these things haven't been working for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And the evidence is your family. I mean, and I don't have to tell you how terrible your family is. I mean, but the solution to that is choosing a new family. I mean, which is right here in the ISUPK, where you can learn your culture. You can learn the right way to do things. You can learn, how to deal with your brother, how to deal with your sister, how to deal with your mother and your father, how to deal with your children, how to solve problems with one another. What to celebrate, what not to celebrate, what to eat, what not to eat, who to sleep with, who not to sleep with. I mean, that's the only answer for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And we, for far too long, have thought that we could, take control. And we thought for so long that we had the answer for ourselves. And then we found out the hard way that we in fact didn't have the answer for ourselves. You know what I mean? So it's about time for us to actually surrender to what the Most High said. You know what I mean? Surrender to what we're supposed to be doing. As a matter of fact, Salakia, bear with me 1 second. Salakia, give me 1 second. Let's go to this real quick. And while I'm finding this, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, whatever platform you're watching on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you're seeing this at. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share with all your loved ones, whether they agree or disagree, because your family members that disagree, they're the ones that need this. You know what I mean? They're the ones that need to understand, especially right now, because in these times, we're running out of time. We don't have time to play around and to pretend to be Christian pastors, and we don't have time to cosplay and be in the truth. This ain't a game. You seeing the conditions of our people, you seeing our oppressor, just like during in the book of Exodus, when Pharaoh was hardened in the heart of Pharaoh. In the book of Jeremiah, the Most High compares. He says that there's going to be a time where, right now he's known as the God of the. He's known as the God of the people who he led out of the Exodus of Egypt, out of the captivity of Egypt. But there's going to be a time where he's not going to be known for that anymore. But he's going to be known for the God that led Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans out of the land of the North. Which is this current captivity, which you see all throughout the scriptures. You see all throughout the scriptures that Babylon, America is compared to Babylon and Egypt and Sodom. So that's the time we're in right now. And just like in Egypt, where the Most High was hardening the heart of Pharaoh so that he can show his strength in him, so that he was hardening the heart of Pharaoh so that he could, raise him up to knock him down. That's the exact same way the Most High is raising up Donald Trump. He's raising up America as this impossible superpower so that he can knock him down, so that the entire world, all the nations, can see that the Most High is not with America and that he's with Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But this time when he does that, it's going to be in a way that trumps the reputation that he gained from leading Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans out of Egypt. So right now, there's no time for us to play with this no more. There's no time for us to pretend and cosplay as if we're in the truth. There's no time for us to pretend and play like we, love one another. And then, because when you see Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, just like this, this the so-called holiday season, all year, for the past couple years, brothers been walking up and down the streets talking about Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace, defund the police, and all of that, and pretending that they Black radicals, right? But then every year, without fail, every year, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans been gathering around that table right next to your child molester. Right next to your abuser, right next to your, the brother and sister that you refuse to go to settle any ought that you have with him or her. And you pass the potato salad, you pass the green beans and the candy yams to that brother and sister I mean, that you haven't solved your problems with. You haven't, you haven't got any reconciliation for the abuse that you received. And then on top of that, you're celebrating the unaliving of your own people. You're celebrating a pagan holiday that predates, Christ's birth, called Christmas, where everybody says that this pagan holiday is all about Christ's birth, but it predates it. You know what I mean? But it's all times out for that. All right. So this is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4. It's a lock in. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. See, America is a stronghold. And it's a stronghold because it has such an influence on every nation of people. Whether you in North, Central, South America, whether in Europe, Russia, Asia, the so-called Middle East or Africa, or wherever you are, America has such an influence on the entire world. America is a stronghold. So you see all these black, so-called black radical groups, the Not Effing Around Coalition, these Christian Israelite groups who pretend to be radical. The FBA. And you see all these individual, these preppers, these individualites, or these individual spiritual Christians, which that's all they are. You know what I mean? They try to, they try to pretend that they have some sort of power or strength in, gathering ammo, gathering, whatever, whatever food or water or supplies you want to try to gather, whatever army you try to gather. If you without the Most High, then you're not going to stand a chance against this nation of people. That the Most High is raising up so that he can destroy them. Because the Most High wants you to rely on them. The Most High wants you to rely on him, rather, Salakia. But the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Every other, the Nation of Islam, the so-called Black Panthers, they thought the weapons of their warfare were carnal. That's why they gathered all them weapons. That's why they stood and marched on the blocks. To try to show, to try to have a show of force. The so-called the IUIC, the purple police. They march through the streets and try to have a show of force. But the Most High is showing right here that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, through the pulling down of strongholds. See, the only way to be mighty through God, through the Most High, is to pull down these strongholds. To separate from this nation, to separate from, the things that's normal, the LGBTQ, the interracial marrying, the voting, the pagan holidays, all of these different things, and to follow our culture. That's the only way to be mighty through the Most High. Verse 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. See, this holiday season is a prime example of how America exalts itself above, the knowledge of God. Because the Most High said in the book of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, it talks about how we shouldn't celebrate Christmas. And yet and still, you see every Black, Hispanic, and Native American so-called radical having their yard full of Christmas decorations. Same as how it was with Thanksgiving. You had every so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American radical. Go upstairs. Go. You had every so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American radical, filling their dinner table with all sorts of abominable, unclean animals that the Most High said not to eat. On the day that the Most High said not to celebrate. In Amos, the 5th chapter, he says, I despise your feast days. When he gave you feast days, but we ignore the Most High's feast days that he hollowed out for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But we celebrate every feast day, every feast day, every holiday that America calls holy and demands that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans celebrate. We celebrate those things without fail. We just got done. You know what I mean? Trump just took away government assistance from not only Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, but from his own people, so-called white people. I mean, in all these other nations, along with the government shutdown, which he stopped brothers and sisters from receiving pay. I mean, along with his own people, and yet and still we sit at that table and we break our necks and break our backs and break our pockets to celebrate these pagan holidays, even though the Most High is not with these pagan holidays. I mean, so so America is, America exalts itself against everything that's the knowledge of God. But us coming back to our culture, then we can do those things. We can cast down imaginations of every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Not by getting guns, not by getting, there's nothing wrong with having guns and weapons if you're legally able to have one. But that's not how we're going to get our freedom from our oppressor. That's not how we're going to get out of this condition by, barricading ourselves in our homes and filling our pantries and basements with water and beans and rice and all of that. That's not how we're going to get these things. But we have to separate ourselves from the ideals of America. That's the only way. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Ain't that what they say? Can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't. I see a shalom, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shemalatah Bashem, Yahweh Shah. I see Sister the water for checking in. Hey, Jason Williams, you mind elaborating on what you mean? So, like, I missed your comment. But if you still in the chat, you mind elaborating on what you're talking about? But but every brother and sister that's barricading themselves in their homes and preparing with beans and rice and weapons and ammo and all of those different things. The most important thing that we're missing is separating ourselves from our oppressor's culture. But what you'll find out is that every brother or sister that claims to be a black radical, claims to want to separate from their oppressor's culture and things like that, claims to be the voice of reason, claims to be the voice of Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans in America. They all celebrate Thanksgiving. They all celebrate Christmas. They all celebrate Halloween and whatever else is convenient at the time. But the only way for us to pull down these strongholds is to separate from those things. To cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And this is the most important part. And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. That's the whole point. Because Christ was a man just like you and I. He was a man born from Mary and Joseph sleeping with one another, because that's where babies come from. I know Christians don't understand that. We all know where babies come from until it comes to the birth of Christ, and then now we don't understand. We don't understand how we all came here. How we all came here, where you was just having fun. You were just having fun, and you was just out here. You might have even had your eye on a particular woman or a particular man, but you might have had the intentions to propose to this woman, or you might have had intentions to marry this man. Walking down the aisle and do it right. Or what they say, have a child, to not have a child out of wedlock. But then, the spirit of the Lord jump on you. Or the spirit jump on you to, to have this. This. I don't want to say it like that, but a spirit jump on you. So now you sleep with this woman, you sleep with this man, and you have a child, and now you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do. But probably with the Christian church reads how Christ was born in Matthew, the first chapter, and they can't understand, like they don't, when they read that, they don't see how you was born. Your parents weren't married. I mean, your parents had the intention, you know what I mean, to have you in an honorable way. You know what I mean, to you know what I mean, to make a, what they say, to make an honest woman. You know what I mean, what a father say, make an honest woman out of my daughter. All of that nonsense. You had to, we all had to, or our brother, our mothers and our fathers, our parents, our aunties, our uncles had the intention of doing that. But sometimes it don't work out like that. You know what I mean, especially in hell, when you were, I mean, you're not even control of who you sleep with or who you know what I mean, who you sleep with, who you, let alone where you eat, where you sleep, you know what I mean, what neighborhood you grow up in, whether you have a father in your life or not. You know what I mean? But just like how Christ was born from Mary and Joseph having a baby before they came together, before they had their marriage, before they had their wedding, rather, Salakia, before they had their ceremony, they came together. That's exactly how you was born. Before your mother and father came together and had a ceremony and you know what I mean, celebrated them coming together and you know what I mean, and they slept with one another. Your mother and your father aren't married on paper. They didn't go to the courthouse. They didn't go to the father. You know what I mean? The father, your father didn't go to your mother's father and ask him for permission. He just went and did it. And that's exactly how Christ was born. All right, but that's the problem with the Christian church. That's the problem with the Christian church. They don't understand the logic and the practicality of the Bible. All right. And bringing into captivity every thought to obedience of Christ. You know what I mean? Well, Christ was a black man just like you and me. I mean, who followed the law, statutes, and commandments. I mean, he was a black man just like you and me, who was born to a, you know what I mean, he had a Joseph and Mary was Joseph's baby mama. You know what I mean? Just like your father is, or your mother is your father's baby mama. You know what I mean? It's the exact same way. Verse 6, and having a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. I mean, and that's the whole point. See, everything, the whole point, see, Christians have everything flipped upside down, where for you to be a Christian, you have to be a good sinner. You have to sin. If you're not a sinner, you don't have faith, according to the Christian church. If you decide that you're going to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments and not be filthy and not be disgusting to the Most High, and you know what I mean, you decide that you're going to follow your culture, you're no longer going to celebrate Christmas or eat pork or shrimp or crab or lobster, you're not going to sleep with these other nations, then that means you don't have faith. Because the only thing you somehow, listen to how backwards this sounds. You following the law, statutes, and commandments means that you don't believe in the Most High. I mean, you following the law, statutes, and commandments means that you don't have faith, when it's really actually the opposite. I mean, because at this point, we didn't, you know what I mean, we done been so destroyed for so long, we done sinned so much that the Most High cast us away. You know what I mean? Which is why in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter, it says that the Most High to make a new covenant with Israel, because we broke the old covenant. So if we broke the old covenant, then that means we all would have to be cast off. We all would have to lose our lives. We all would have to be punished. But us following, you know what I mean, that new covenant that he made in Jeremiah, and that he talks about in Jeremiah 31st chapter, it gives us opportunity to be able to follow the law, statutes, and commandments again and be new. And you following those commandments shows that you got faith. That's what that's talking about. But Christians, they say the opposite, that you following the commandments means that you don't have faith. Right? But us being cast off is the reason why we need faith in the first place. But that's what we need to do. We need to bring our, whatever we're thinking about, we need to bring it into captivity under what the Most High been telling us from the beginning. And he had to send Christ, who was a black man, just like us, who was born from a mother and a father, you know what I mean, who was born from Mary and Joseph. You know what I mean? He had to send him to be perfect, to show us how to be perfect. You know what I mean, so that we can be perfect, so that we can know how to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. You know what I mean? But if we don't choose that, then all of this is for nothing. And then Salakia, bear with me 1 second. But that's the whole point, and that's the whole point of this class. You know what I mean? For us to come back to our culture. You know what I mean? So if you got any questions, Lashawan Qadash related, you know, if you got any questions, then you can always put them in the chat, and the link is in the chat as well if any brother or sister wants to join the live and, you know, participate in class. We're gonna pick up from where we left off last week. We was kind of going over the pictographs, right? Or where the Lashawan Qadash comes from, what each character means, and like we talked about last week, not only is it going to help you be able to understand the language a little better, but it's going to help you memorize each character from A all the way to Tha. I mean, so the Lashawan Qadash alphabet is Aba Gada Hawaza Khata Yaka La Manasa I Pata Zakwa Rasha and Tha. All right. Salakia. Good night. What's happening? But that's what you see on the screen right now. But that's the Lashawan Qadash alphabet. But each one of those characters that you see on the screen, they have a meaning. You know what I mean? They come from somewhere. They come from all the pictographs that we went over last class and in the previous classes as well. I mean, so if you missed that, we're going to be picking up in the middle of the Lashawan Qadash alphabet. But if you missed it, then you can always ask during class, and I'll be happy to review whatever you missed. But if not, then you're gonna have to watch those previous classes, or you can just hit that QR code in that top right corner or top left corner. And morning, noon, and night, there'll be a brother in that chat. It's lucky. There'll be a brother morning, noon, and night in that chat to answer all your questions and solve all your problems. All right, so if you got any questions and you're not watching this live, or you might have missed the classes previously, you can get in that chat and ask those questions and get privy to what, you know what I mean, what we talking about. All right. But with that, let's see. So I believe last week we left off on La, which is a character that looks like this. Looks like an English L. We talked about, you know what I mean, last week, how your oppressor, I mean, they say your oppressor is so lucky. Your oppressor is so arrogant. So lucky. Good night. But your oppressor is so arrogant. Well, they'll steal everything. They'll steal all your inventions. You know what I mean? They'll steal all of your intellect. They'll use your slave labor. I mean, they call you illegal immigrants. They call you illegal aliens. But they'll use all of your labor, all of your talents, all of your skill sets, and they claim that they are the greatest nation on the earth. I mean, when everything that they have, even all the way down to their alphabet, they got from Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's how arrogant your oppressor is. Like, and it's all throughout like you could see it all throughout history. Because I mean, Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, like we like, oh my God, like we don't like even you read the book of Exodus, the first chapter, and it talks about how Pharaoh at the time after the Pharaoh that knew Joseph, I mean, he passed, and that generation passed. There rose another generation that didn't know the reputation of Joseph. You know what I mean? And they thought to get rid of us. It was like these they have become they have become a great and mighty nation. You know what I mean? They've become more and mightier than we. That's the exact verbiage that it uses. They become more and mightier than we. If we leave them left alone, then they'll become. I mean, they may join. You know, what I mean, let us. If we go to war with any other nation, they might join the other nations and go to war with us, or they might overpower us. You know what I mean? So they was like, let us do wisely with them, and they started to get. They try to get rid of our men, our male children, and then their midwives, their women was instructing our midwives to get rid of our male children and only let the female children live. And that's how they tried to deal with us. That's how they try to deal with us in America. That's why you see them dealing with us so cruelly, slamming us on the hood of their cars, sending ICE into our neighborhoods, and you know what I mean, police brutality, increasing police brutality as if we haven't been brutalized enough. You know what I mean? Doing everything that they can to try to destroy us. You know what I mean? Try to take food out of your mouths and try to mass incarcerate you and all these different things. So why they do all of these things? Because just like in the book of Exodus, they trying to get rid of you. That's the whole point. They're trying to get rid of you. But in them trying to get rid of us, they steal our culture. They steal everything that we have. You know what I mean? They want to use our labor to try to build themselves up and then try to get rid of us. But one thing about us, just like we was talking about in the book of Exodus, in that time where they tried to get rid of our children, we was having more children. We was having more children. It was like, get rid of them. And then we started having more children. And that's exactly what you see happening right now. In our captivity, in our poverty in America, we just having babies. We just having babies. And your oppressor can't believe how resilient Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have been and how cruel that they've been to us. I mean, that's why when you in circles with your oppressor, or when you see an oppressor walking past you, they give you that strange look. I mean, they give you that strange look. They give you that side eye. Or they give you, you know what I mean? They just, you know how your oppressor stares? I mean, they just stare. They just have a habit of just staring. I mean, I don't know if y'all know about this or not, but your oppressor, I mean, they will just stare. I mean, the reason why that is because they can't believe that after everything that they've done to you, imagine if you know what I mean, you imagine, you know what I mean, these people have unalived and, you know what I mean, assaulted our brothers and our sisters, our fathers and our mothers in front of us and skinned us alive and, you know what I mean, wore our skin on their face and, you know what I mean, castrated us and like they did Nat Turner, made him eat his own genitalia and all these different cruel things. You know what I mean? Cut the babies out of the stomachs of our women and you brutalize the baby on the floor after, you know what I mean? And then brutalize the woman. I mean, all those different things that they do to separate us from our families and all the different cruel things that they've done since, you know what I mean, the 1492 all the way up until present day. And we still walk around and say Black is beautiful. We still walk around with the confidence and the swag that we got. I mean, they looking at us. That's why they stare at you. That's why they look at you crazy, because it's like, how are these people still like this? How are these people still as confident as they are? How are they still, you know what I mean, holding on like they are? I mean, how are they still here? I mean, that's because of the mercy of the Most High. That's what that's about. But your oppressor can't understand it because their whole purpose is to try to get you up out of here. But yet and still, while they're trying to get rid of you, they can't resist stealing from you, stealing your culture from you, stealing your identity, stealing your language. That's why you see that this character that we got on the screen right now, it looks just like their English. Even though they want to get rid of you, they steal your culture. That's why, even though they want to get rid of you, the Jews who are black, they go and put on a yarmulke and the tzitzis and you know what I mean, their long black coats and things like that. They pick up your Torah and they pretend to be you, even though they want to get rid of you. That's why that is. Right? But that's just the nature of your oppressor. But we're going to tell you what this actually means. So La is for Lamad. I believe we went over this last week. La is Lamad, which means learn. You know what I mean? In these pictographs, in the ancient Hebrew, it is like a walking stick or a cane for an elderly person, right? And you even look at the modern Hebrew, which the La looks like that, right? But it's like a peg or not a peg, it's like a walking stick or a cane for an elderly person. And like we said last week, there's two ways that you can learn. You can either learn from the hoary head. You know what I mean? You can honor the hoary head and learn from the brothers and the men above you. Or you can learn the other way. You can learn the hard way. You know what I mean? Through tribulation, through beatings. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Right? You know what I mean? Like we just read in 2 Corinthians, you know what I mean? The things that, you know what I mean? The things that we warn against ain't carnal. You know what I mean? But mighty through God through the pulling down of strongholds. You know what I mean? These strongholds is what we need to go against. You know what I mean? So when you get your behind whooped, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily going to be a physical cane. You know what I mean? Just like your mother and father, you know what I mean? Your mother and father is the ones that whoop you behind when you're getting out of line. It is real simple. Don't touch that. You touch that, you get a whooping. Don't do that. You do that, you get a whooping. But the whooping that you're going to get ain't going to be so, you know what I mean? It's not going to be so physical. It's not going to be physical. It's not going to be carnal, which is what carnal means, physical. But it's going to be you're going to experience that whooping from this stronghold that you're supposed to be pulling down. You know what I mean? You're going to end up mass incarcerated. You're going to end up being a victim to ICE. You're going to end up in captivity for 500 years. You're going to end up, you know what I mean, being persecuted by every president, whether a Democrat or Republican. You know what I mean? We tried Donald Trump. We tried Joe Biden. We tried, what's his name? Obama. We tried all of these different, you know what I mean, trying to vote. We tried being, you know what I mean, joining the military, the police force. We tried all these things. We tried joining our oppressors' judicial system or political system. We tried all those things. And the Lord is still whooping our behind. You know what I mean? It's because he's trying to get us to learn. He's trying to get us to learn that these people, he's trying to get us to learn that your oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of. And we can learn through, like it says in the scriptures, you know what I mean? Ask your forefathers. I know Yahweh should know this scripture. This is his favorite scripture. You know what I mean? Ask your forefathers and they'll tell you. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can find it. Salakia. Deuteronomy 37. That's what it is. I wish Yahweh should have been here. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and find it real quick. Deuteronomy 32. Salakia. Here we go. Let's see what this says. So Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. See, that's one way. That's how we should learn. Based on the days of old. We should, like it says in believe in Jeremiah chapter 16 and 6. I mean, remember consider the ways and acts for the old past. I mean, like it says right here, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. See, we supposed to be learning from the generations before us. We supposed to learn from the Tupacot and the Wampanoag Native Americans. We supposed to learn from the atrocities that Christopher Columbus and all the colonizers before him and during his time and after him, who, you know what I mean, we supposed to learn from Andrew Jackson and the Trail of Tears. We supposed to learn from the Reubenite and the Gadites, you know what I mean, the so-called Seminole and Native American Indians who suffered persecution in North Central and South America. We supposed to learn from the transatlantic slave trade. Supposed to learn from the Alamo and the Spanish Inquisition and the Louisiana Purchase. We supposed to learn from all these things and learn who the devil is. Ask thy father, and he will shew thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. You know what I mean? That's how we supposed to learn. You know what I mean? Go back to that's how we supposed to learn. We supposed to ask our elders, and they gonna tell us. Ask your father, and they'll show you who the devil is in the earth. But if you don't learn from your fathers, you don't learn from your elders who the devil is and what happens when you don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. If you don't learn from them, then you're going to learn the hard way. You can either learn from your elders or you're going to learn from that whooping stick. You're going to learn from that discipline that a good father gives his son and his daughter. Let's read this too. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam. See, from the days of Adam, the Most High has always been about separation. And that just to cut you Christians, you know what I mean? That shows you that Adam and Eve weren't the first and only people on the earth. Because if the Most High separated if he separated Adam and the sons of Adam, then who do he separate them from? Because if Adam and Eve was the first and only people on the earth, then there will be no reason to separate them. There will be no reason because there will be nobody to separate them from. That just goes to show you that there was other people. And the Most High, first of all, the Most High completed the creation of man and women. You know what I mean? In his likeness. You know what I mean? He created just like he created animals. He created birds and all different fowls of the air and all different beasts of the field and all different sea creatures. I mean, he created all different people. I mean, and he divided Adam's people from the rest of the nations. And he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. You know what I mean? So he even, you know what I mean, you fast forward to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he separated these people from the rest of the other nations. You know what I mean? But that's the whole point. You know what I mean? If you ask your father, so how are these two things related? You know what I mean? The reason why we get our behind whooped, the reason why we suffer the way that we do is because the Most High separated us and we want to try to join with everybody else. The Most High separated us and we want to try to sleep with these other nations. The Most High separated us and we want to, I mean, he separated us from the people who slaughtered the Native American Indians, and we want to celebrate Thanksgiving in honor of the slaughter of the people who slaughtered the Native American Indians. You know what I mean? Your oppressor used to force themselves on our men and our women, and then we intentionally we want to be LGBTQ. They forced LGBTQ on you. I don't know if you know that, but they forced that on you. They forced, you know what I mean? That's what buck breaking was, where your oppressor's men would force themselves on the strongest male in front of the entire, you know what I mean, the entire family. That's what would happen. And now we willingly choose LGBTQ lifestyle. Or they had breeding farms. And their men would force themselves on our women. and their women will force themselves on our men. I mean, they will force us to sleep with one another. Now we willingly choose to sleep with our oppressor who did all of those things. I mean, your oppressor used to lynch and, unalive you, and now we unalive one another. They used to force us to, they used to force drugs and guns in our neighborhoods, and now we use those drugs and guns in our neighborhood to destroy one another. There's two ways that you can learn. You can either learn from the hoary head, you can learn from your elders, and they'll show you. You can learn from your fathers, and they'll tell you who the devil is in the earth. Or you can learn from getting your behind whooped. You can learn from experiencing your oppressor. And I think we've learned the hard way long enough. You should just learn from your elders. You should learn from the Picot and the Muskogee. We should learn from the Wampanoag. We should learn from the captives of North Central South America, the Caribbean islands, the Dominican Republic, Haiti. We should learn from all these. We should learn from all these nations who have been in captivity under the same captor. Who the devil is. All right, so that's Lamad. All right. Salakia. Next one. Ma, which is Ma Yum, right? Which is water, right? Which is water, whose root word is yum, which is sea. Ma Yum is from water, right? Ma is a preposition that means from. So from water, what comes, or from the sea rather. Yum is sea. My yum is from the sea. What comes from the sea? Water. So my yum is from the sea or water. And Sha, my yum, is pertaining to what's from the sea. All right. Or water, or pertaining to the waters, which is heaven. Right? Because of the shared properties of the waters and the heavens, or what we know as space. All right. Nah. And you notice, just like M and N in the English alphabet, they have, the N has the one hump, the M has two humps, the Na has the one, the Ma has the two, but they look very similar. Your oppressor also stole that from your alphabet. So the Na is for the one, which is sprout. All right. Or small seed. That seed starts to break. Do you see the sprout coming out? All right. Sa is let me see, make sure I got this correct. But it's two root words that this pertains to. Salakia. But it's two words this pertains to. Samak. Okay, samak is to establish. Samak, which means to establish. Or sawad is flag. All right. Which is what this is here. It's a flag. So you got the stick and you got the flag in the middle. But that's what this is here. It's how you establish, which is what samak means. That's how you establish your territory. You establish victory. You establish defeat. You establish, your nation. You establish who you're rooting for, whether you're Democrat or Republican, left wing, right wing. You establish who you're with, with a flag. All right, so that's what this pictograph is. The Sa is a picture of a flag, which is for Samak, which means to establish. All right. And then if you could remember all of these, most of these, for me especially, are from memory. I mean, most of them are from memory. There's a couple of them that I do have a hard time remembering. It's a lock here. But most of them are from memory. And I've encouraged brothers and sisters to commit these to memory because it'll help you, again, like I said at the beginning of the class, it'll not only help you memorize each character, but it'll help you when you're reading a Lashawan Qadash. And it'll help you understand your language because each word is built off of these pictographs. And I'll give you an example here in a second. So I is Ayan, which means I, which is why it's circular. You know what I mean? And I, just to give you a heads up, all of these characters are vowels. You read the biblical Hebrew workbook and textbook, it'll tell you that the original Hebrew was all consonants. There were no vowels. So I is used as a consonant. Even though in your oppressor's language, they would use it as a vowel, I is a consonant. Always has been, always will be in the Hebrew. I mean, and if you try to remember, or if you try to teach or learn Hebrew based on English, then you're going to run into some problems. You're going to run into some misunderstandings. So you never want to do that. Based on English. So I is Ayun, which is I, like the eye in your head, right? Which is why, like, I draw the pupil. Like, that's the only thing that's missing from it. But that's why that character looks like that. Now, what I was saying before, it's important to remember these pictographs by, to commit these by memory. It's important to do those things because each character, each word, each phrase is built off of these characters. And I'll give you a very simple example. So I'll give you this. Just to give you a review. Anybody in the chat, what is A Shalom, Yahabashem, Yabashah, Barakatah. I see you, priest and officer, my Aisha, mighty brother out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Anybody in the chat, you can answer this question. What does this mean as a pictograph? And I'll give you this example of why it's so important for you to remember these pictographs and commit them to memory, because it'll also help you be able to build words. It'll help you build words and help you understand the Hebrew, help you understand each each character, or each what's the word? It'll help you understand each it'll help you understand the words that these characters are built off of. I see you, Maisha, you said but what does the mean though? Like, what does the stand for as a pictograph? We're going over the pictographs today. So what does mean as a pictograph? What does the represent? All right, and you or anybody else in the chat is free to answer this question. This is gonna help you. This is gonna help you. That's the whole point of us going over the pictographs. All right, just to review it for a second. The pictographs is gonna help you be able to understand the Hebrew in a way that you haven't even considered. Considering we spent 500 years of captivity, considering we've spoken our oppressor's language and all these different things. Right now, as we're learning the Hebrew, we kind of got to read it like a baby, like how a kindergartner or first grader has to sound out each letter and character, and you got to learn the different parts of speech. We're learning like that. If you learn the pictographs, that's gonna help you get to a level to where you don't have to try to sound out, or you can read it more fluently. All right, so that's why I'm asking this. So as a pictograph, it has a meaning. All right, I don't see any responses in the chat. So as we went over last week, I believe, is for lap. which is Salakia. This is a sideways cow's head, right? It comes from this Salakia. It comes from, I wrote it in the Assyrian Salakia. Last week we went over the ancient Hebrew. So is a sideways cow's head or ox head, right? Now, what is a cow or ox? What does a male cow or ox represent? I mean, it's used for, especially as as a farming animal, is used for strength. So any labor that you need that requires strength, you usually use a bull or an ox. You know what I mean? So that's what the means, right? Now remember ba from last week. Ba. Ba is what? Ba Yath, which is house, right? Which is what this ba is. It's a floor plan of a house, like we talked about last week, right? So you put them together. Abba is father, right? Or the alat bayaf, the strength of the house, right? Because your father is the strength of your house. The alat represents strength. The cow or the ox, it represents strength. And bayaf is house. So Abba, father, the strength of the house. I mean, that's why that's why your oppressor targets, like it says in let me see if I can find it real quick. But like it says in you read the letters of Willie Lynch, and it says the way to destroy the Black, Hispanic, and Native American family is to separate the mother and the father. I mean, Salakia. You go to the book of Matthew, chapter 12. Let's go there real quick. Matthew, the 12th chapter, where it says, Salakia. Share this tab. So Matthew 12 and verse 29. Or how else can one enter into a strong man's house, the Abba? How can you enter to the strength of the house or into a strong man's house and spoil his goods? What's his goods? His family. I mean, his family, his wife, his children. I mean, hey, Shalom, Yahaba Shem Yahweh Shabrakatah. I see you, Officer Zakar One out of Dallas, Texas. I mean, the water for pulling up. If you got any questions or comments, anybody that's checked in so far, anybody watching right now that hasn't checked in, you go ahead and ask them in the chat. All right. But how else can one enter to a strong man's house and spoil his goods? Your goods is your family, your children, your wife. Except he first bind the strong man, and that's something that Willie Lynch learned from the Bible. You see how everything all the tricks that your oppressor uses against you, you can find it in the Bible. I mean, anything that you've ever seen in the earth right now, you can find it in the Bible. But you can't spoil a strong man's house unless you remove that strong man out of the house. That's why the first thing that they did was buck break our men in front of the family, because they had to break the strong man's authority in that household. That's the whole point. So how else can you spoil a strong man's good unless you break the man, unless you break the buck? What's a buck? I mean, a male deer. How else will you spoil the strong man's house unless you break that man? Unless you break the male, unless you break the strength of the house. All right, we share this again. So Abba, meaning father, is the strength. Allah, meaning strength. Or ox, which is strength, which symbolizes strength. And ba, which is bayath, which means house. So how else will you break the household? How can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except first to bind a strong man, and then he will spoil his house? You know what I mean, you read the letters of Willie Lynch, and you're gonna be reading Matthew 20 or Matthew 12 and 29. That's what you're gonna be doing. But that's the whole point. Let's lock it. Let me share this again. All right. So if you commit memorizing these pictographs, you commit to memorizing these pictographs, and you're going to be able to understand the Lashawan Qadash in a way that you never. It's going to add another layer to the Lashawan Qadash, for lack of a better term. All right. So let's try to see if we can get through these. I only got a little bit more time. All right. So these pictographs, again, just to reiterate, these pictographs is going to give you a little bit of, they come together and make words. All right. They come together and make words. So you understanding these pictographs, not only is it going to help you memorize root words, not only is it going to help you be able to memorize these characters off site, but it's going to help you build and understand how other words are built, like we just went over in Abba, which is father, or the strength of the house. All right. Where we leave off, I, la manasa, I, pa, or pa. All right. La manasa, I, pa, Salakia. Pa is wrong tab. This is pa, which is mouth. And if you haven't seen or watched the class or any other brother's class, we did one in Killeen earlier. We did a couple of them actually about body parts. Pa is mouth, right? Salaki and other brothers have done it as well. I'll write it here. Salaki. Pa. Mouth, right? Which is what you got here. It's an open mouth. All right, so I'll just draw teeth. All right, it's an open mouth. All right. All right, but that's what pi is. It's a mouth. Okay, we only got a couple more. Let's see if we can run through them. Pa, Salakia. Next one is Tazah, which is a character that looks like this. And a lot of these characters, like if you not familiar with the Lashawan Qadash, like a lot of these characters, some of them are easy to remember, like what we was talking about earlier. What we was talking about earlier. The La looks a lot like an English L. The Ma and the Na mimic the M and the N in English. The I looks like an English O. Za, have we gotten that? Yeah, we gotten to that. But the Za looks like an English Z, so on and so forth. The A looks like an English A sideways. But a lot of these characters look like English. A lot of them, you know what I mean? It seems like if you don't have the pictographs in your mind, they look like they have no rhyme or reason. So that's the whole point of us going through this. So the Tazah, you see this character, you don't really see the character. I'll draw the Tazah right here. All right, so this is the Tazah, right? Same thing we got in the middle. This means side, and it's like It's a pictograph of somebody on their side, right? You draw a head, arms, and you see it now. But you don't see it until you understand the meaning of the lot or the character, the pictographs, rather. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. And the Tazat is a perfect example. But you don't get that imagery unless you understand the pictographs. All right. But that's what the Tazat is, side or Tazad. Tazad, which is side. So again, when you see this word in the scriptures, when you see it during Lashawan Qadash class, or when you see it during what's it called? Sabbath service, you know what I mean? When you see it in Blue Letter Bible or Bible Hub, you'll be able to recognize this word and you'll be able to associate it with side, right? You'll be able to associate it with pictograph and you'll be able to recognize it. So then that's one less word that you got to read and sound out. You'll just be able to look at it and be like, I know what this is. And that's the whole point. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some diligence. But you take that time, then you'll be able to recognize it off the rip. You don't have to be so tedious with it. Patazai Kwa. All right, Kwa. Kwa is for Salakia. Kwa is for Quam, arise. Right. Which is why it's like a half circle. Right. And I'm gonna extend like that's the sun, like it for my poor drawing. That's the horizon. And then it's an arrow showing that the sun is rising up. Right. Let me see if I can remember the word. Can't remember the word for snare, but it also, see if I can find it on the internet. See if I can find it on the internet. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. But it's also, I believe, Quara'ah is the word for snare or trap. But you look at an old animal trap, and it looks like this. It looks like this qua, where it's a half circle. And then when it opens up, when that trap opens up, it opens up like this. Right? And that's what you're looking at. Salakia. That's what you're looking at here. Right? All of these pictures here, that's what you're looking at. It's just a pictograph of, and if you find an older version, one made of like sticks and wood and things like that, then you'll be able to find, like, these are a little bit more modern than the ancient trap, but a little bit older than what we will use today. But Let me see if I can find the exact one. Let me see. This is a good one right here. But I mean, these are all just good root words for you to be able to memorize the pictographs. I mean, Quara, I believe, is the word. Can't remember off the top of my head. I would have to go back to my notes. But Quara, I believe, is the word for trap or snare. And then Quam is for rise. I mean, so either one of those will work. But you should remember, like, if you remember both of those words, then when you see them, again, when you see them in Bible Hub, Blue Letter Bible, or whatever you're reading, then you'll be able to, you won't have to think about what this word means. It'll help with faster, more efficient translation and reading and writing and speaking to one another. All right. All right. Qua, Ra. So we just got Ra Shanta. All right. So Ra is for Ra'ash. Which is head. Which is what this pictograph is. It's a pictograph of a head. Right? Right. You see it now. Pictograph of a head. All right. Ra'ash, head. All right. Ra, Shah, which is shun, which is teeth. Which is what this pictograph here is. It's two front teeth. All right. So now when you see a Shah, you'll be able to see two front teeth, and then you'll just go teeth. Okay. Or when you see it in the scriptures, you'll know there's teeth. All right. And then Tha is easy one. Easy one. Tha is for thal or mark. Because X marks the spot. You know what I mean? But that's what that thigh is. Thal or mark. Now, if you don't have these pictographs in your notes or anything like that, I recommend you getting them in your notes. I recommend you just having them. I mean, I recommend you having them in your notes. I recommend you committing them to memory. You know what I mean? If you have a question on anything that we just went over, you can always hit me up personally. You can always ask your question in the chat. You can always hit that QR code in the top corner. And morning, noon, night, there'll be a brother in that chat. I'll be in that chat as well to answer all your questions regarding the Lashawan Qadash. You know what I mean? But it's going to be in brothers and sisters' best interest to just follow these instructions and get them in your memory, get them in your notes in case you forget, so that you can refer back to them, so that our language becomes ours again. Because right now, our language is our oppressors. That's why brothers and sisters just got done celebrating Thanksgiving. That's why brothers is gearing up. Even as we see in Babylon falling, we gearing up to celebrate Christmas. You ain't got no money. You poor. You know what I mean? We poor. We just got off of, you know what I mean, a government shutdown where brothers and sisters working for free. You know what I mean? And then your oppressor took government assistance from not only their own mouths, but they took government assistance from your families. And, you know what I mean, your oppressor gave you government assistance and ended the government shutdown just in time for you to be able to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, which he's probably going to do shut it down once again after you get done spending all your money for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. But, don't take our word for it. I know brothers and sisters know everything. All we could do is try to help you. But, brothers and sisters is gearing up to celebrate these holidays that you didn't have. You didn't have enough money to pay your rent. You was worried about paying your rent and feeding your families. You was worried about having enough money to keep the lights on in your house. And now we got enough, not only to keep the lights on in your house, but the have a light up Santa Claus in your front yard or on your rooftop next to a chimney you don't have. It's ridiculous, man. But with that, we're going to go ahead and give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shem, Yahushua, Barakatham to all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shemar, Tham, Bashem, Yahushua, to all the sisters.